So if your business is something that you're running that you don't like interference, you don't want delays, you don't want, oh, we've not made a decision, we're waiting for the boards to decide, and you just want it to be you want to move fast, take your decision, do everything by yourself. You want to buy something, you don't need anybody's permission, you just run on your own, you have full control of that business. That's you as a sole proprietor. But of course, on the flip side, it also means that you bear all the liabilities. You don't eat all of the cake and then someone is coming to share the pain or whatever that comes with it with you. No, whatever liability also comes with that business. It means whatever loss you make, you bear it alone. So there's something they used to say when we were small, eat alone and die alone. But I mean, that's literally what this form of legal structure is talking about. Of course, the pros and cons: full control, minimal regulation. You have less to do with the government when you're a sole proprietor. And the cons of unlimited personal liability, like I said earlier, your liability is unlimited. It means that you and that business are one and the same. Whatever losses that business is making is your personal loss. Whatever debt is your personal debt. Whoever is suing that business is suing you in your personal capacity. There is no company somewhere that is going to take care of that. It's just you. And of course, there is limited growth potential. You know that people who invest in businesses or funds have a problem with when it's just you. You cannot be controlled, you cannot be tamed, you can literally do whatever you like. So there's a limit to the kind of growth you can attain. So the next one I would want to dwell on also is the private limited company. I don't believe that anybody who is on this webinar is a public limited company, so I'm just going to be on both on these two. So a private limited liability company, of course, is a legal separate entity with limited liability for its shareholders. Now, I like to think of it as giving birth. So when you give birth to a child, of course, it's your child, but that child has become a person of its own. The only difference here is that it's not a natural person, like you get pregnant, you put to bed and have a baby, but you give birth to a child that has been coined by the law. So it's a separate person. It's different from you. You and that business are not one and the same. Now, that business has its name and you have your name. There is, of course, in some cases, maybe when fraud is involved or what, the court can now decide to unveil that company and say who are the beneficial owners, who are the real people behind this company. But in the absence of anything like that, that business or that company that is a limited liability company is standing on its 2 feet, completely separate from you as a person. Now, what are the characteristics? You can raise capital through shareholders. How does this happen? You have a limited liability company. I know a lot of people who have limited liability companies, especially since 2020, when the amended Companies and Allied Matters Act made it possible for one person to form a limited liability company. They don't even understand the meaning of, oh, I'm a shareholder, I'm a director. All they know is that these are my details, register my company. But now, let me break it down. Okay, I'm also trying to look at my time to be sure I'm not exceeding the time allotted for this session. So when it comes to a limited liability company, what happens is you have a share. If your business is registered, go back and look at your status reports. Or if it was registered before 2020, go back and look at your form CAC2, which is a form for allotment of shares. You will see your name and you see the number of shares that has been allotted to you. Now, that number of shares, for most people, it's usually 1 million. They just go for the base, 1 million shares. That 1 million is the extent of your liability to that company, is what you owe that company. So, for example, if the company is doing any business and runs into debt or is owing someone some 100 million, that is not, of course, there is no element of fraud or anything. The company is owing someone 100 million. Now, that person that the company is owing can recover that 100 million from the company, from the company's assets from the companies, whatever, there's a whole procedure for recovery of debt from a company, but not from you personally. The only thing that you owe that company is to pay up that 1 million that is the share capital. So the person can only, if it's not paid up, but of course, with the current form of registration, form of business registration now, there is no difference. There's no more issued share capital and paid up share capital. Everything is now paid up share capital. So it's only 1 million. Let me put it this way. Let me just put it this way. It's only 1 million out of that 100 million that will come out from your personal pockets. And the rest will come from the business, its profits, its assets, and all of that. And if whatever the business owns is not enough to pay that person, I mean, they can't come to you. That's just the basic way I can explain it. I'm not sure how much more basic I can go, but that is the best way, or the most basic way I can think of to explain it. So your share capital in a company is the extent of your liability to that company, is the extent of what you owe that company. That's the extent of your commitment to that company. So that's why you have shareholders who hold shares. So shareholders are like part owners of a company. For big companies, that maybe you have a company with share capital of 2 billion, someone has 100 million, someone has 200 million, and those are the extent of their liability to that company. A total making up the total number of shares that share capital that company has. I'm not going to take it more complex than this with any other form of shareholding structure. I'll just leave it at this. And of course, like I said, the Corporate and Allied Matters Act of 2020 has made it possible that you can now register a company with a minimum of one person, one shareholder, one director. Now, of course, this is possible for a small business, not for big or regulated businesses. For example, you want to run a payment solution company, maybe a fintech or a bank or an insurance company. There are other laws that regulate these entities that have said this is a minimum number of shareholders, directors that you need to have. So you're not going to open a bank, for example, and then be the sole shareholder and the sole director. So I know you understand that there's a limit to which this minimum of one person can apply. Of course, also, a minor can be a shareholder. If you, for example, you want your child to be a shareholder in your company and the child is less than 18 years, if there are two adults, definitely that child can be a part of that company. And I included this specifically because it's something that has been new. I don't know if it's new. It's relatively new, I think since last year. The minimum share capital for a company that has a foreign shareholder, a foreign participation, like we call it, used to be 10 million, but of course it was increased to 100 million. I just included that for information purposes. So pros and cons: limited liability. Your liability is limited. That is just how the name came about. Your liability is limited, means what you owe the company is limited to the number of shares you have in that company. And it's a separate legal entity. The company on its own, you on your own. And of course, on the con side, you have a higher setup cost and compliance cost, and of course, corporate governance responsibilities and everything that you have to abide by. Choosing the right structure and factors to consider. I think we've discussed about this already, but let me still just talk through it. I think I have a few more minutes left. So liability, it determines whether your personal assets are protected. So what do you want? What are your business goals? Or do you have a long-term goal, or are you in it for the long run? Are you in it to do the long step, to go the long route? And the kind of business you do, is there going to be a whole lot of issues around liability and all of that? Those are the things you should consider. Of course, it also affects your tax. There are different tax structures for the different kinds of legal structures. And then funding, are you planning to someday raise funds, maybe become a Fortune 500 company and all of that? Of course, you cannot do this with a business name. It has to be a limited liability company. And then regulatory compliance. obligations that are also different. So what are the practical implications of registered business names and limited liability companies? I didn't want to gloss over this. So I needed to break it down to the various bits so that you can see the various scenarios and the implications of having both kinds of business registration or legal structure. The first one being the legal status, which we've overflogged in the course of my talk, so I'm not going to talk about that. Ownership, we've also overflogged it. We have sole owner or partners, and of course, limited liability company is owned by shareholders. And then the third one is ability to enter contracts. Now, a business name or a sole proprietor cannot enter contract in the name of that business name. So your contracts are signed personally. For instance, the strategic lawyer is a sole proprietorship, okay? I cannot have a contract with Dangote Limited, and then at the end I now write the strategic lawyer signed. That contract is not valid. Nobody has signed, as a matter of fact. So the only thing that I can do is to write Francisca Beke trading under the name and style of the strategic lawyer. So there is no the strategic lawyer as an entity signing or entering that contract. It is me in my personal capacity that is entering into that contract. So if your business is a registered business name or a sole proprietor, even if you're partners, even if it's a partnership, you cannot enter contracts in the name of that business. Please note this, because I've seen it a lot and I've had to deal with it a lot where people come. The other parts you're dealing with might know that what you're doing is wrong, and they just leave it because one day if an issue arises, they just say, we don't have any valid contract. There's nobody like this. Who is this person? I mean, it's just a business name that is then. This person cannot enter. The contract is void and all of that, and they work. So I've had to deal with this in the course of my career, and I just wanted to include it here that please note that a business name cannot enter into a contract. It is you personally sign with your name, and then you can now indicate the name you're using to trade, the name you're using to do business, the name that you've registered. Trading under the name of so and so, but sign in your name. Now, I hope that was clear. But of course, a limited liability company is a person of its own, so it can enter into contracts through its authorized representatives. Now, liability, we've also overflogged this. Owner is personally liable for debts and any obligations, but limited liability protects shareholders. I mean, the personal assets of shareholders are generally safe, except to the extent of their liability to the company or their share liability to the company. The next one is ability to own property. Now, a business name cannot own property. So you don't go and buy, if your business is Deluxe Empire, you don't go and buy a property and the name you put in that property document is Deluxe Empire. Who the hell is Deluxe Empire? Deluxe Empire is nobody if you are just a sole proprietor or a registered business name. Trust me. So it's better for you to buy your property in Francisca Beke, trading under the name of Deluxe Empire. So don't go buying properties or signing these agreements in the name of, or getting maybe your shop and all of that and write the name of your business. No, a registered business name cannot own property in its name. It is the person, because there is no, like I keep stressing, there's no separate, it's not an entity. It's not a separate entity. It's not, you've not created a separate entity that is capable of owning anything. So please buy your properties, lease your properties, everything in your name. You can indicate your business name, but a registered business name cannot own property. Of course, on the flip side, a limited liability company can buy and own property in its name. So you can have Deluxe Empire Limited as the owner of a property, or the owner of a vehicle, or the owner of anything. Or I mean, that's why we talk about the extent that the legal structure you choose for your business affects you. Imagine you're buying heavy equipment, you're buying machineries and all of that, and you're buying it in your name. Meanwhile, it's for the business. But if you had a limited liability company, you would buy those things in the name of the company. And of course, this will show in the book, your fixed assets, your accounts will reflect all of this. And when it comes to funding, maybe taking a loan, getting grants and all of that, your books and taxes, of course, this will also reflect in your taxes. You would have your capital assets and everything, and you'll be able to have your tax deductible expenses and all of that. But if it's a sole proprietor, you're not buying those things in the company's name. You're buying it in your personal name because you've not created a different company. Of course, I think in the course of talking about that, I've talked about borrowing and borrowing and financing. A business name cannot secure loans or financing in the business's name. So loan obligations are personal. You cannot go and take loan as let me still use Deluxe Empire. Sorry, it's raining at my end. I hope my network is not going to get shitty. You cannot go and get loan as Deluxe Empire. So, but of course, you can get a loan as Deluxe Empire Limited and all of that. We talk about tax for a business name. The tax that you're liable for. How do I put it now? Your profits are taxed as personal income tax. So whatever you make, the only tax that you're going to be subject to is that you've made some personal profits. So you've made, sorry, let me look at the time again. Oh, this is 8:35. Sorry. I'll try and round up as quickly as possible. It's personal income. They are not going to be taxed as a company income. And of course, on the flip side, the company is subject to company income tax. Mr. Olubumi is going to go deeper into the tax aspect of it, so I'm not going to waste any time there. And then, of course, ease of transferability. Ownership transfer is difficult. As a matter of fact, when you have a registered business name, when the owner dies, that business also dies, that registration dies. But when it's a limited liability company, you can easily transfer it by allotting shares to whoever the new owners are. That talks also to continuity and, of course, the business scope. There is a limited level of business that you can do with a registered business name because you have limited credibility. Nobody is interested in entrusting a huge business into the hands of someone who is not accountable to anybody and does everything by him or herself. And of course, structures and you're accountable in some. So technical, I couldn't unmute for a while. Please stay handy. I was trying to get across to you. And I think my slide is out. Can you still see my slide? Please just comment if you can still see my slides. Let me just reshare that. Okay, so I'm actually rounding up. Like I think I was at the point where I was talking about legal proceedings. Of course, you cannot be sued in your business name, or you cannot sue someone in your business name. But of course, a limited liability company can do all of that. I'm officially out of time. So let me just talk about post-incorporation activities and requirements, because most people don't know the things that they can still do when they have their businesses registered. But I just listed them. I'm not going to talk about the requirements. Of course, if you need any of these services, we'll now let you know what you need to make them happen. But all you need to know from this point is that, okay, all you need to know is that first, you can upgrade your business name to a limited liability company. You can convert your private limited company to a public limited company or to public unlimited company. Oh, I didn't talk about that, but we're not going to talk about it anyway. You can change the name of your business. Whatever you registered as, you can change the name of your business. You can also change the nature of business. For example, if you're registered to do poultry and you now want to be doing crops, or you want to be selling solar panels, you can change the nature of your business after registration, of course. Because you can change the directors and shareholders. I mean, a lot of people, especially prior to 2020, because you needed more than one shareholder, some of you used your uncles, your father, your late great-grandfather as co-directors or shareholders. And now maybe you have your own family, your husband, your wife, your children, and you would like to bring them into the business and remove all of these people that now have their own lives. Of course, you can do that. You can change the shareholders and directors of your business. And if there was any mistake in the details of the directors or shareholders, maybe when they were registering it, you can make corrections to those names. Or you had a business as a spinster, like myself. I had my business registered before I got married. And of course, when I got married, I changed my name and I had to now update or correct my name on my business documents to reflect my current name, which is my husband's name and not my maiden name. So you can do that. I mean, if you registered your, you can do all of that correction. And you can also, whether it's a business name or is a limited liability company. Okay, sorry. I think okay, yeah. You can also remove the directors or shareholders. I think I've talked about that. You want to remove someone, you want to add someone, you can do that. You can remove a partner. And of course, maybe you're not running that business anymore. You want to close it. You can cease the business, close it completely. If anybody goes to do a search at the CAC, the business is seized. So you can close, you can wind up, you can liquidate a business. There's also registration of charges, which has to do with when you collect a loan or a debt with the business. Of course, it will be registered as a charge against that business, and for accountability's sake. And then you can also get a letter of good standing from CAC. Maybe you want to apply for visa or for any big contract or something outside the country or anything, and you want a letter of good standing that you're a good citizen, you've been running business for so and so period of time, you've been complying with all regulatory requirements, paying your annual returns and all of that. Of course, you can get a letter of good standing from CAC. You can transfer or change, you can transfer shares and change an allotment of shares, that you can increase or reduce your share capital. And of course, you can change your address. So there are a whole lot of things that you can still do when your business is registered. And if you're interested in doing any of those things, you can always send us a message and we can take it up from there. So that will be the end of I've exhausted. I've gone beyond the time allotted to me, and there is only me. I'm so sorry. I'll have to end my presentation here. So if you have any questions, please put it in the comment section. Oh my God, I'm just seeing no. Okay. Okay, so there's one question. There's a question on tax that I can take, but I'm not going to take it. I'm going to leave it for the next speaker, because the next speaker is an accountant that is coming in to take over from here. So if there are other questions, please still leave it in the chat box. Let me just copy this one out and yeah. Okay. Okay. Someone said, what's the difference between ULC and PLC? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where you got ULC from, but what I had on my slide was LC and PLC, and what I meant there was public limited liability public company and a public unlimited liability company. So trust me, of course, the major advantage of having a limited liability company is that your liability is limited, but you're not going to, at our stage, register as an unlimited company. I think Mobile is an unlimited company, but you have companies that have unlimited liabilities. Some big companies like Mobile, I think, have their registration as unlimited liability liability companies. So I don't know if that's what you mean. If it's not what you mean and you're on the group chat, I'll be opening the chat this evening after this webinar, so you can drop your questions. We'll attend to all the questions there. So someone is asking, what are the legal implications for a business name to take a loan? Please permit the next speaker to come on board. I'm going to take down all of your questions and then we will attend to them. If you can attend to them this night, we'll attend to them on the group chat. You can also leave your email. We'll take down your email and all of that. And if we need to send you a mail and all of that. So thank you very much. We have come to the end of my section. Technical, please, if you can grant share access to Mr. Lubumi so that she can share her slide and come on. Thank you. I'll be taking down your question. If you want to leave your email, please leave your email or your phone number, but would answer those questions generally on the WhatsApp page, and I can also reach out to you. Thank you.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me well? Please let me know if you can hear me well. Am I talking to myself? Can anyone hear me?
Clearly, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much, the strategic lawyer, for giving me the opportunity to talk with these amazing people. So I have 45 minutes. I will share for 30 minutes or 35 minutes and allow for questions for 10 minutes. So if you have any questions during my session, please either share it or you can let me know at the end of the session. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen. So today I have kind of given a topic to my session, how to use bookkeeping to increase your sales, right? That is what we're going to be talking about today. But I'll bring in other things as we go in, like the tax and all that, right? So first of all, let me introduce myself. Excuse me. My name is Olubumi Omonubi. I'm a tax consultant. I'm a strategist and an accountant. And I work mainly with small and medium-sized businesses. And I've worked in this niche for like over a decade. And as accountant, I've worked in Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Other things that I am as a tax consultant, I help to train individuals, accountants, business owners, and I also provide advices to these business owners. My goal, which is reason why I am here today is to help business owners to achieve their financial goals. So I hope that during this session, you're able to pick out some nuggets, pick out one or two things that would help you to achieve your financial goals. So these are the areas we are going to be talking about today. So what is bookkeeping? This whole word bookkeeping, what is it about? And why do we have to keep our books? There was a difference between accounting and bookkeeping because I get people confuse both of them, right? Then I wanted to drill down for accounting for product businesses. So if you're a business owner that has product, the kind of books that you keep is a bit more than what a service business will keep. A standard service business would keep the standard books, but for your business, there are things that you need to take into consideration. And also knowing the best bookkeeping structure or the preference you should have for your business, right? Every business is different, even if you are in the same industry. And also your focus is different. So depending on your focus and your goals, your bookkeeping is also going to help with that. Then how do you use these numbers, right? They say know your numbers, know your numbers. Okay, so now you kept your books, you have the numbers, how do you use it? Then because of time, I'm just going to be focusing on that, but I'll touch on other things very briefly. And also the agencies standardly you should be taking care of or you should be considering yourself about. And then what is the next step? So you've heard all these nice things. What steps should you be taking after this class, right? So then we would have our question and answer. So let's dive into it. Let's dive into it. So what is bookkeeping? What is bookkeeping about? Bookkeeping is an art. It's an art of recording financial transactions. And why do I say it's an art? Because it requires a skill, requires thinking, it requires structuring it, requires just like an artist, right? Thinks about an idea, what he wants to create, and then starts putting things together, mixing paints, or putting irons together, depending on what the artist wants to do. And the same thing with bookkeeping, right? It's an art of recording financial transactions. So you have a lot of financial transactions in your business, but you have to keep it in a way that you can use it for decision making, right? And business events. So it's not just, okay, I bought this thing, I sold this thing. That's not the only thing you record. When you sell something on credit, when you sell to a customer, how do you record the data of the customer so that you can sell more or know how to satisfy that customer in the future? Let's say you're a cake business. What kind of data can you keep as a cake business so that every time that person where they bought cake, a birthday cake for, every time that year, God willing, the person is alive, there's going to be a birthday cake, right? So you should be proactive using your data, right? Events to aid your business decision and performance. So that's the goal of bookkeeping, is to help your decision making and to help your performance, right? So that's what you want to achieve when you are doing your books, okay? Then now, why do you have to keep your books? The first thing is marketing. No business can exist without marketing. And marketing is not only advertising on Instagram, for example. You just wearing a branded t-shirt when you go to an event is marketing. You talking about, oh, I do this. I provide packaging materials for people who are in the liquid business. So any liquid you have, I'm the one that sells package. That is marketing your business. That's advertising your business, right? So your bookkeeping, the information you have is going to help you to market your business, right? We'll go into how that information is going to do. Then also your stock, your inventory, right? As a business that's in the service, maybe you have inventory, you have diesel, you have fuel, you have stationaries, you have printing materials, or you're a product business, you're selling shoes, what kinds of shoes you have. This is bookkeeping, recording this inventory information, inventory movement, what I've sold, what I've bought. Your debtors management. How do you know, okay, I sold to this person today. In 14 days, I'm supposed to go and send an invoice or collect my money. Recording that information is bookkeeping, and that's why you have to have that. Then also loan and investment decision. If you want to take, or you are considering taking a loan, how are you sure that your business can manage that loan? Because believe me, in my career as an accountant, I've seen where loan, partnership, and investment has crippled or literally made that business non-existent. So you want to use your bookkeeping information to be able to make this kind of decision. Also, the same thing with asset acquisition. How do you know at what point in your business you should be buying an asset, you should be renting an asset, or you should do like what's it called now, where you rent the assets and then you are paying it to buy it later? What decision should you make, and at what point in your business should you think of buying assets? What volume of production should you have for you to say, okay, now is worth buying an equipment, right? Customers' preference and taste. You want to know, okay, which of my products does my customers love and buy more? Which season in the year would they like this type of product or this spice of product, right? It's in your bookkeeping that you can get this information. Also, tax management. I got a very I woke up this morning to a call, in fact, a voice note from a client that was just panicking. Oh, why is my VAT like this high? And I was like, this is actually your VAT. But we had to go on the meeting. I explained to her invoices, the bank accounts, inflow. But if I didn't keep that data, it would be hard for me to convince someone who is looking for money to say you have to pay this VAT because your client has actually paid you, right? So I had to show her through the data we have kept for that client. But if you don't keep data, you will not be able to know that, my VAT for this month is like 50,000. I have to make sure I'm putting that money out. I'm not going to use it to go and buy inventory, because at the end of the month, within the first 2 weeks of the next month, I need to pay my VAT, right? So it helps you with tax planning and tax management. Also, pricing decision, very, very important. How do you know? Because right now we are living in a country where you buy something today for X naira and go tomorrow and it's something else, like something very different. You are like, your head will spin. And then how do you know that at this point I should increase my price? Or at this point, I should do a smaller quantity so that my customers can buy? This bookkeeping information is going to help you with that. Then staff management, right? Also, you want to know, okay, this period of time, this staff is not coming to work. This is a gap I have. My staff do not understand how to manage the business environment, how to talk to customers, how to upsell. It's information in your bookkeeping. So bookkeeping is very important. I'm taking a little bit of time talking about this so that you can really know why you should take your books very, very seriously. Okay? Now, what is the difference between bookkeeping and accounting? We've already said bookkeeping is the process of recording financial transaction, but accounting, the process of analyzing, preparing, and interpreting financial reports. So accounting goes a step further from bookkeeping. We have a service where we design bookkeeping templates and inventory templates and different templates for clients who are just starting or just have few transactions. But I tell them, this is a very good tool for you to use, but don't rely 100% on this, because this would help you track all your information, get a level of profit that you have to keep. But you need to do accounting to be able to give you sufficient information to make even deeper questions, right? I'm not sure who is Grace. They are writing on my screen, so please take notes. right? So accounting helps you. So when you see an accounting report, you see your income. So some of our clients, they have different income brands or income brackets. We have those income brackets in their financial reports. So you see from selling of soups, this is how much they make. From selling to corporate clients, this is how much they make. From selling of food packs, this is how much they make. They're able to now tell, okay, from selling this is how much I make. But even though I made like 5 million, let's say in a year, in a month, in a quarter, but only 5% of that is soup. Why is that? You start asking yourself the question. That's what accounting can do for you. Bookkeeping also can help you say, okay, my total income is this, but cannot analyze the way accounting will analyze it for you. You just know that your income is coming and this is the total income you do based on the way we design our templates anyway. Right? So you want to see that accounting includes bookkeeping because you use the bookkeeping information to prepare accounts. But with the bookkeeping, it is not so thorough enough. But believe me, you need that data. Okay? So let me hurry up. So I said I was going to mention about accounting for product business. I wanted to talk about this because you need to be able to understand some key things about your business because for a product business, you can't just sit somewhere and cook up something to sell. You literally have to have a product that you have either bought or you have partnership that immediately a customer orders, you take from them and deliver or deliver on your behalf, and then there's a profit sharing or things like that, right? So with a product business, you want landing cost and you have your buying price. The landing cost is the cost that it takes to bring your product to you. So let's say you are importing shoes to sell or importing clothes to sell. So from China, please, if you cannot hear me, let me know. I am joining from 2 devices. So let me know if I'm off. Then, so if landing cost is the cost of buying from your supplier, the shipping cost, the clearing cost, the cost from getting it from the wall for wherever it's going to come from to your business. That is the landing price. So that's the cost. But the buying price is how much you have bought the item from the vendor or from your supplier or from whoever the market you bought it from. So you need to understand that before you get your price for your product, you need to first of all calculate your landing price. Very important. If not, believe me, you are running your business on a loss, right? Then product pricing, you have to take into consideration operating costs. I get people who come to me and say, I need to calculate the price of my product that I would sell, but how do I allocate salary? How do I allocate rent that is I pay once a year? How do I allocate diesel? Those things that you pay once a month or once a year. Seriously, believe me, there's a sense to the whole madness and there's a way. And for you to get your product price, you need to be able to take into consideration your operating cost, right? So that are the things that you take into consideration. Most times when we are doing pricing templates or pricing service, we always have where we have a template, we break everything down, we add everything. And then when prices change, you can easily go and tweak that figure and know what the price is going to be when the prices of your inputs changes, right? Another thing to consider is your matching sales with inventory movement. See, you don't want to tell your customer you have something and then you go back and realize that either it has been stolen, it has been damaged, or somebody has sold it and they don't record it. Or you don't want to have an inventory. People are asking for it and you think it has been sold. Seriously. So you need to be able to track your inventory very well. So you want to say, okay, what have I bought? What have I sold? What is left? What is damaged? And then from time to time, you do inventory counts to make sure that what you are saying you have in your inventory movement sheet is the same thing that is physically there. And your inventory can be a lot or in small pieces that you can't always every single day when somebody asks you for an item, go and be checking before you give confirmation. So you need that inventory movement to be able to track that. Then tracking your sales pattern. This is very important, right? So you want to see, okay, which of my items do people buy more? Which of my items do people not ask for? That can help you to pay. So for example, let's say you sell spices, right? And your pepper spice is like your fast moving, which your bookkeeping has told you. But you find out that your jollof rice spice is not moving. One thing you can do, you can put your jollof rice spice in sachet. When anybody buys the pepper spice, you add it as a free gift. When they try it, they will come by, and before you know, you start getting more items being sold for jollof rice spice. But how would you know that people are not buying more jollof rice spice if you don't do your books, right? As a product business, okay? Then internal controls, especially for consumable items. Believe me, the things I've seen, because we also do inventory counts, the things I've seen in inventory counts, in fact, sometimes when I think about it, it keeps me awake. I will give you one example. We had a situation, this client wanted to do inventory count. All the top shelves, there were cartons there showing that there were products to be sold. But going to count the product, everything was empty. I am telling you, these are items worth, like, at that time, 10 million, right? So in fact, the client just had to shut down the business. In fact, right now, I don't even know whether she finally reopened, right? Another one like that, theft. And sometimes it makes me wonder, you're not paying these people, why are they stealing from you? But you need to have internal controls. The person who is managing your inventory cannot be the one who is selling. The person who is counting cannot be the one that is managing the inventory. Those are internal controls. Okay? The staff rotation concept, cash management process, asset documentation, especially for a production company, right? So I want to move on quickly. Know your business structure. Like I said, right? I never assume that because these two people are in jewelry business, their bookkeeping should be the same, or their accounting format should be the same. I never assume that. I always ask, what are your goals? So based on your goals, I now know what I should be tracking and putting in your bookkeeping templates. So let me give you an overall thing based on experience from what I've seen in different industries. But I'm not sure the industry some of us are in on this call. So what would you like to know about your customers? That is something you have to keep records for, right? The product that was bought, the date they purchased, what was purchased, the additions, all those about your customers. What expenses would you want to track, right? There are some expenses that are very high and very frequent, and there are high chances for fraud, theft, mismanagement, right? So with that, you want to be tracking those expenses. I was telling someone yesterday, there's a company that has 4 staff, and every week they were buying 20 packs of tissue. When I took on the role, I was like, why is their petty cash so high? So I went in and I looked at it and I was like, staff do you have? 4. So why are they buying 20 pieces of tissue every week? I realized that they bought the tissue, took it home to take care of themselves, or they might not even buy tissue, just chucking the money. right? So you need to track expenses that, you want to be able to see what is happening there. What challenges have you noticed with your staff? You want to track that. Do you give credit, right? Do you have regular vendors that what is their payment plan? You want to track that. Do you have different classes of products? How much do you make per product and services? You want to track that. I just saw that my time is 9:08, so I have to be running. And I hope you are benefiting from this. Then how to use your number. If I don't say anything today, I need to say this. This is the main gist, right? I had to put that here. This is the main gist, so listen up. So first thing you want to do is review your key structure for bookkeeping monthly, right? You might be keeping your records maybe for customers in a particular way, but it might not give you the information that you need. So you might need to add another column or add another data. There was a client when we started, we had a template of okay, your dates, the name, what you bought, and the amount. But we later found out that that was not sufficient after we reviewed the bookkeeping template and working with the accounts. We have to put the date of payment because we found out that they were paid in parts, don't pay the full payment at once. And we couldn't find the sub payments in the bank account because there was no narration. Okay, so you want to look at that and make sure that you are tracking all those things. Please, if you have questions, okay, then use keynotes, design a customer feedback sheet. You want to have that. Use keynotes as your marketing tip, right? Offer deals for family and friends recommendations based on customers' needs, right? Then improve staff and owner customer service. Have days of the week for follow-up and feedback. There was something I heard, I think it was on Instagram. It says there's a difference between working the business and reviewing the business, right? When you are doing your daily activities, that is working the business. But you have to have a time in the month, in the week, when you are actually reviewing the business to ensure that it is working, right? So when you are reviewing your numbers, that is actually reviewing the business, right? Okay. So now we are done with the bookkeeping side of things. Let's quickly jump into tax. That affects all business. We just finished a session where we talked about 6 business registration, but that applies even to the NGOs and limited guarantee businesses, right? So even though these NGOs and limited liability companies, limited by guarantee companies, do not pay VAT because they are exempted, they still have to file VAT, right? VAT is value added tax. That's the full name or the short name is VAT. And it's based on sales generated. So when you are calculating and you are filing, it's not based on your profits. Because some people say, I have sold, but I don't make any money. No, that's not it. VAT is on what you have sold, right? There are exemptions, I'll come to that, but note that VAT is on what you have sold. And it's a monthly tax obligation. So every single month, you have to file your VAT. The requirements, excuse me, the requirement is that after 6 months of registering your business with CAC, you need to have your team. In fact, within 6 months, before the 6 months birthday of your business, you should have your team tax identification number, which you get from FRS, right? Recently, whenever you register a limited liability company, you get a TIN on the certificate, right? But I found out that sometimes the business name or the company name on that TIN sometimes is messed up, or mixed up. So you need to always go and check that the name on that tin is your company name, right? And it is registered in the states that you are based right now. Right now, we are dealing with a company that is based in, I think, Enugu or something. No, was it Enugu? But after Lagos. But the team is registered in Lagos. So he's having a lot of problems now. So we have to help him to resolve that issue. So always check those things before you start working with those teams, right? Then the rate of remittance is 7.5. So if you are not exempted and you have to charge and you have to pay, the rate is 7.5% of your revenue. So revenue and sales means the same, but profit and sales is not the same, right? And it's based on both products and services. So whether you are a service business or a product business, VAT would apply if your service or your product is VAT included, okay? And it's charged by the company that is offering the product or the service. So it's charged by your company, and the person who is paying for your product or services will pay you, and then you go and remit, okay? All companies are to register for VAT. Enterprise, limited, NGOs, you are all expected to register for VAT. And getting a team is even compulsory to open a bank account. For you to open any business bank account, you need a team. So that is literally registering. When you go to the tax office, or if you have a team by whatever means, I know there are different ways people get team these days, right? So if you get a team, it's you literally registering for VAT, right? So whether you pay is a different matter, but you always have to file, okay? Then you need team to be able to collect and remit. So if you don't have a team, you don't have any business collecting VAT. And if you are not exempted, you need to remit. As I mentioned, some companies are exempted. So for example, a medical, agric. So I have to qualify agric. So if you are selling a product that is in its raw state, so let's say palm oil, right? If you're selling palm oil, it is exempted. But if you use palm oil to cook stew, that stew that you are selling is not exempted. Another tricky one, if you are selling water, sachet water, bottled water is exempted. But if you are selling flavored water, it is not exempted. So you need to know what is exempted before you now start saying, oh, my business. And then I don't know where this came from. When people say, I don't need to pay VAT until after 18 months. That is not for VAT. That is company income tax. So within your first 18 months, which that has changed, by the way, before now, within your first 18 months, you have the opportunity not to file your accounts until after your 18-month birthday of your company. But now, within the first year of opening, you have to file your company accounts if you're a limited liability company, right? Then all companies are expected to file, and penalty applies. Where am I? Okay. Penalty applies if you do not file, not if you do not pay. The penalty is 50. I think I'm going to go there, but the penalty is 50,000 if you don't file, and every month you don't file is 25,000. So let me give you an example. We are in November now. For October sales, if you don't file, whether you made sales or not, if you don't file your VAT in this November before 21st, you would have 50,000 penalty to pay. If by December, 21st December, you haven't still filed October's VAT, there's an addition of 25,000. So by 21st of December, October filing that you've not done, that's even if you didn't make any money. If you made no sales in that month, but you did not file nil, you have 75,000 by 21st of December. So compliance is Very, very important. I have to stress that. Okay. So, oh, okay, I think I've talked about a number of things. Revenue is inflow. Not all products are vatable. I've mentioned agric, medical, exports, products or services, all those things. I have to run now. My time is really gone. Then if you are making revenue below 25 million, they are changing it now to 50 million from next year. But so this year is 25 million. If I'm making 25 million and below, you do not have to pay that, but you still file, by the way. Not all payment or products or services is vatable. I've already mentioned that. Also, there's a platform called Tax Promax. I don't know if any of you have heard it. That is the platform where all FRS taxes are filed, remitted, processed, and all that. And the deadline for filing your VAT is 21st of every month. Talk about the penalty. So moving on. So there are three agencies that you need to concern yourself with. Every company, no matter the class of registration. One is FRS, Federal Internal Revenue Service. So that's where you have your VAT, your company income tax, when you're a limited liability company, your tax clearance, your withholding tax, if you are paying for a limited liability company. Then you have your LRS, that's the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. You have also Abuja, FCT, IRS, you have Enugu IRS, you have different states IRS. But in those states, you do your payee, you do your withholding tax for individuals, you do your direct assessment. Then also you have your CAC, where you registered your business, you have to file your accounts after 18 months, you file your first annual returns, and then 12 months after that, you file your annual returns every year moving forward. Okay. So what next? Now you've heard all this good stuff. What next do you have to start thinking about as you have heard this? So the first thing, you want to design your bookkeeping templates, you want to design your customer follow-up sheets, and you want to start keeping your books. I mean, every kobo you have recorded. I'm telling you, every single money you have brought into your business, you have spent, you have gotten, recorded. They say the faintest pen is sharper than the sharpest memory. So please keep your books. Then if you don't have your team, maybe you don't have a business account yet and all that, register, because after 6 months, if you are registered with CAC, within 6 months, you're supposed to get a team. So if you don't have a team, there's a penalty, which is the same thing as the 50,000, 25,000 every other month after. Then you want to register on Tax Promax and you want to start filing your VAT. See, some people will tell me, government don't know about me. I laugh. The government knows about you. They are not just ready for you yet. That's the truth. They not only know about you, they know about your bank accounts. I don't want to go into that because I have very short time and I want to give opportunity to ask questions. I'm already overshooting my time. But believe me when I say I have sat in a number of audits and they will tell you the date and the time, the bank account, everything, because they legally have the right to access your bank account. In bookkeeping, the trick is consistency. Okay, so thank you so much. But know that if you need help with bookkeeping templates, you want to track your finance, you want to prepare your accounts, you want to manage your taxes, you want us to provide information to grow your business from your data, we are here to help you. And these are our details. I don't think I asked if I could share my details. I hope this is fine. But I am done now. So if there are questions, I don't know how many I can take, but I'm here. Thank you so much. Are there any questions I need to? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Francesca. Are there any questions? I wasn't looking at the chat, so if there are any questions, okay, please let me know. Is there any question for me?
Thank you. Thank you very much for a section. I think there are some questions in the chat. Yes, I can see some questions. Darlington is asking, when you sell a product that the supplier dictates your selling price, are you supposed to pay VAT? For example, recharge card. I'm trying to pull out the questions as well, so you just attend to then the chat box. So you attend to the ones that you can, and the rest we would handle it on the page here.
Okay, so the thing is, if you have sold there and you are selling above 25 million per month and per year, so an average of 2 million per month, then you are supposed to pay VAT, right? It doesn't matter what the back end or your operations or your agreement with your vendor is. So far, you are making sales and you are making sales above 25 million for the year, or an average of 2 million per month, you pay. But even if you are making less, you don't need to pay, but you still need to file, right? Because what I said, the FRS agents or tax officers, they have access to your bank accounts. So when you are filing, you can say, in this month, I made 50,000, I made 500,000, I made 5 million, whatever. And then you know whether you are paying VAT or not. Okay? So what's the process of to file for VAT? So like I said, you need to get your team, you need to register on Tax Pro Max, they upload it for you, and then you start filing, right? But I would say be careful. We have a course on training how to file. So if you want to do it yourself, I recommend you take that, because if you make a mistake, that is it. You cannot change it. And any changes on Tax Pro Max has to be done from Abuja. And believe me, sometimes I just give up because it's not worth it. Okay. How do you track VAT and know those exempted? So tracking VAT is by your books, right? I gave you an example of someone who literally woke me up from sleep with her voice notes. So you need to do your books and say, okay, this month or this day I sold this day I sold this. You're able to total your sales and know, right? So what I say is, or what I do for my clients, I have a spreadsheet where all my clients' names are. Every month I see what they are doing. And I know some clients, they don't make up 25 million. Some clients, they are in between 2 million, 2.5. So if I see that, oh, their business is growing, I just tell them smart things. I'm not sure that you're exempted or not. But the bottom line is, if you are making 2 million, you should be paying that. I mean, how do you know the business that make? Okay, I've done 2.5 million or 2 million minimum, you should start paying that. Does a group of companies file for tax for her subsidiaries and the mother also? Okay, so for that, the group of companies, so group of companies is literally legal and accounting purposes, right? They are still in, so if it's a limited liability companies, the subsidiaries, they are still individual persons. Just like having a family where you have a father, the head of a home, and you have children. Those children are still their own personality, but they might have a social say, oh, we are contributing money for that, or we are covering the expenses of daddy, or every year we contribute this for daddy's maintenance. So it's similar to that kind of, but they are still their own personality. So each of them will pay their taxes as it applies. What is the date for annual? So annual returns, business name, March, and limited liability June. Okay. As a new registered company, when are you going to file your first so 18 after 18 months? So if your month, so it depends. So after 18 months, but it's okay, let's say your year end is December and you registered your business, let's say in June. December the next year will be your 18 months. But if you registered in, let's say, August, the December, your account, your business not yet 18 months, but you now need to now start thinking about your annual returns filing because it has gone into, and the next 2 years to be more than 18 months, right? I think those are all the questions. Did I miss any? I think
I don't
those
think
are.
so, but if you don't mind, with respect to these annual returns, practically, and what we've seen the CAC do over the years, even if you registered your business on the 29th of December this year, by next year, January to December, they would already count that
Yes.
the 18 months had elapsed, so you are supposed to start filing. So most times
Yeah.
I just tell people, the year after the year you register, even no matter when you register that year, that's the only exempted year. From the next year, you start accruing liability. So the portal doesn't really give room for the 18-month allowance.
Yeah, the portal, right? So that I find that when I'm also doing annual returns filing for clients, the dates are different. So I usually go and say, okay, what's the dates that the portal is giving me? And then I use that to work. But what I'll say, like what you just said now, I agree fully with it. Just take the first year of business as that, and then next year, make sure that you're filing. Okay, I think I am done, right?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I mean, I can't believe there's still up to 40 something people on this call. I thought everybody would have left and got to sleep, but thank you guys for sticking around, and I hope you got value from this. Like we said, the questions that were not answered on this call, and even the ones that were answered, will be made available. Rehonold Solutions, will the recording be made available? Yes, I believe the recording will be made available. Yep. So thank you very much. If you have any more questions, we'll be ending the webinar now. If you have any more questions, please do well to drop them on the group chat. If you're not on the group chat, or maybe I should just drop the link to the group chat now. So if you're not on the group page, please join and drop your questions there, because we'll be addressing most of the questions there. Let me just drop the link on the chat. Thank you, Mr. Lubumi, for that very fantastic session, and thank you, everyone. Do have a great night rest. I'll be ending the meeting for all.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.